Hello, welcome. We are in Chapter 1, FST, and in this video we'll be going through Lesson 1.5, where we're going to talk about histograms. This is a new type of graph, so we'll define what this graph is. We'll take a look at an example of one, and then we'll also create a histogram together. Now, here is a picture of a histogram, and you'll notice that this looks really similar to a bar graph. However, there are some differences. So a histogram is a type of bar graph where the categories or bars are intervals. And the height represents the quantity of data in the interval. So we kind of see here, if we look at kind of the x-axis and the y-axis, one thing to note is with a bar graph, typically we have categories, like we have freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors, or a certain group, like your favorite type of fruit, like our categories could be apples, bananas, peaches, pears. Here though, our categories are going to be intervals. So we can see we're looking at ages, and this is the ages 20 to 29, or 30 to 39, or 40 to 49, or 50 to 59. So we no longer have distinct categories, they're more so intervals. So they're representing a range of numerical values. Then our y-axis, this is representing our number of winners. So this is how many. So here we can see this would have a frequency of 2. So there's 2 categories or 2 people in this category. And this would be 5. So the height is 5 people in this age range, and 6 people in this age range. Now, one of the things that we'll note with histogram is we lose the individual data values. In most of the other graphs we've looked at, we've been able to see individual data values, like a value of 84 or a value of 22. But here, for example, when I look at this like 30 to 39, I don't know if these people were 30 or 37 or 32. We just know that they're somewhere in this interval, but we don't know the actual individual ages of people within this group. So we're going to just take a look at this graph and we'll see if we can analyze this and answer some questions. So this says how many people were between 20 and 29 years old when they won the lottery. So we're looking at this interval, 20 to 29, and that would be 2 winners. B said how many winners were 50 or older. So we have this category of 50 to 59, but we're also looking at older than that. So that could be these 3 columns here. So this column would be 8, this would be 5, and this would be 4. So if we add those together, 8 plus 5 plus 4, that would be a total of 17 people. We're also asked between which ages did people most frequently win the lottery? Did people most frequently win? So if we're looking at the most people would be in this column. So that was 50 to 59-year-olds. We're the most common. And D says how many people were 34 years old when they won? Now, if we look at our graph, we have to be very careful of this question because we want to know specifically 34. This graph just tells us how many people were between 30 and 39, but we don't know about that individual value of 34. These people all could have been 31, or they could have been any age but 34, or they all could have been 34. So though there's 5 people, we don't know how many of them were actually 34. So we aren't able to tell this. So we could say unknown or unable to determine based on the graph. That's one of the downsides of histograms, is we won't know those individual values necessarily. All right, and our second example, we're going to take a look at actually creating a histogram. So this says the data below shows the final exam scores for 20 students in an Algebra 2 class, and we're going to make a histogram for the data. We're going to represent the scores in intervals of 10. So we can see here we kind of have divided up the scores already. So we're going to have scores in the 50 to 59 range, and 60 to 69, 70 to 79, 80 to 89, and 90 to 99. So those are kind of my categories here. Now, I'm going to go through and I'm just going to tally how many scores are in each of those categories. So I'm going to go through and find any scores between 50 and 59. So I have 58, I have 55, none here, none here, none here. So I have 2 scores in that range. If we do the 60s to 69s, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that was 6 scores in that range. 70 to 79, so I have 78, 75, 73, 73, 76, 70, and 72. So that was 7, 80 to 89, 1, 2, 3, 4. And 90 to 91, we just have 1. So I went through and just kind of tallied up and found the frequency of each of these scores. Now, our 2 axes, our scores we're going to put on the x-axis, and then our frequency we'll put on the y-axis. So when we create our graph, we'll want our scores on the x and our frequency on the y. So I'm going to go ahead and make my histogram here. Now we can, for our scores, since we have those 5 categories, I really just need to divide this into 5. I'm not going to use my whole graph here because I don't need my bars to be super wide. But I'm going to go ahead and just kind of make 5 tick marks to kind of represent those intervals. So this is going to be the 50 to 59 group. We'll have the 60 to 69, 70 to 79, 80 to 89, and 90 to 99. Notice again, we don't have individual values here. We're representing those as intervals. And then our frequency we can put along the side. I do need to make sure that I can fit up to 7. So I'm just going to go, and I'm going to go by individual marks, and I'm just going to make sure I get at least 7 on this graph. So this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, then for each interval, I'm going to make a bar. Now, one of the things that's really important is we notice with histograms, our bars are touching. There's no space in between these, and that's because this is kind of representing a continuous scale, right? I'm going from 20 to 79. We don't know the individual values in between, so we're not going to leave any space between our bars. So my 50 to 59 bar should be at a height of 2. So I'm going to go ahead and make a bar that's a height of 2. Notice I went all the way to this interval here, so that way we have that connected bar. 60 to 69 was 6, so I'm just going to kind of extend this up to 6 and across and down. 70 to 79 was a height of 7, so again I'm just going to kind of extend this one up and over and down. Notice how my bars are connected. 80 to 89 was a frequency of 4, so I'm just going to kind of connect right to that next bar. And then 90 to 99 was a height of 1, so I'm going to go to a frequency of 1, connect, and down. So with your histograms here, I will be looking at your interval intervals are labeled. This you could label as scores if we wanted, and then as well as our frequency or our number of students.